Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Heidi from My Reading Life, and I'm here today to film a Friday Reads video. Excuse my windblown look. I was in the field this morning for work and it was quite windy, and so I feel a little windswept, although perhaps you can't tell. So let's just get into what I've been reading. It was a good week. I finished 3 books since the last time I checked in, and I have a whole lot of stuff on the go. So let's just get into it because I'd like to keep this brief. So I finished another book for the BookTube Prize. This is Islands of Abandonment, Life in the Post-Human Landscape by Cal Flynn. This is nature writing about what landscape looks like after humans are no longer using it. So that was for the BookTube Prize, and so I can't talk about it any more than that. What else have I read? I finished a literary fiction book called Salt Lick by Lulu Allison. And this is a book that's on the Women's Prize for Fiction long list. I buddy read it with Britta Bowler, and it is dystopian in nature. So we're following the lives of 2 characters, Jessie, who lives in the country, and Isolde, who lives in the city. Jessie lives in the country where not very many people live because due to climate change and pandemic issues and lots of things that have happened, most people have left the country and moved to the city where life is more supported by government and technology. And the people that are left in the countryside are very few, and they are sort of going back to the land and trying to do things like grow their own food and live as simply as possible. So those 2 storylines are what we have, and we're following each of those characters over the course of time and sort of see why we're following those 2 characters. And I don't really want to talk about it too much because I don't want to give anything away. I will say that I really enjoyed this book for the ways that it sort of turned typical dystopian fiction on its head. You know, most people live in the city now after the bad thing has happened, whereas in most dystopian novels, you go to a pre-technology society where everybody's in the countryside growing their own food and things like that. This sort of flips it on its head where technology has not gone away and in fact has advanced, but everybody has to live in these consolidated areas because services aren't provided to those who live in far-flung outposts. So that's a really interesting flip for this type of a book. And it also deals a lot with, because it's literary fiction, it doesn't focus so much on the specifics of the dystopian world as it does in sort of themes and ideas about what it means to fit in, what it means to be a part of a family, what you choose to do with your time, and how time is either given away to somebody else or taken for yourself to use for your own purposes, and what's most important to you in your life, and how do you arrange your life so that you can do the things that are the most important to you. I found all of those ideas very thought-provoking, and so really what worked best for me was the ideas and themes in this book, as opposed to some of the story could be a little bit slow, particularly Isolde's sections, and I particularly wanted more sort of specifics about the world. I really like dystopian fiction for the ideas it gives me about what these worlds might be like, so I really enjoy the world building, and we don't get so much of that in this novel. It's much more about themes and ideas than it is about like specifics of the world. So good, but not great for me. Then I finished an audiobook, and this was for Aussie April, and it's the second book in the Aaron Falk mystery series. It's called Force of Nature, and this is by Jane Harper. So this is a mystery that takes place in Australia. It is a mystery that takes place in the wildlands up in the mountains. This corporation has sent some of its employees on a corporate retreat where they have to do team building by going out into the wilderness for a couple of days and being able to orient themselves and camp and then bring themselves back out of the wilderness on their own. So a group of women and a group of men go into the wilderness, and the men come back out and the women don't. At least not for a while. And when they do come back out, they're missing one of their members. And so the whole book is trying to find out what's happened to this one woman. And it's very propulsive, very creepy, really interesting. There's none of the characters, the people that are on this corporate retreat, are particularly nice people. So a whole bunch of kind of unlikable or just irritating people like out in the wilderness trying to survive, and you're getting their story while you're also getting the storyline of Aaron Falk and his partner as they try to unravel this mystery and figure out what's happened. And if the woman's still alive, try to rescue her, because they're still searching for her at this point. We don't know what's happened to her. Is she alive? Is she dead? We have no idea. So yes, very good. Really, like I said, very propulsive, very good on audiobook. Would highly recommend in that format. I really had a good time. I pretty much listened to it all in one go. I had a very long drive one day last week, and I pretty much listened to like 92% of the book over the course of that one day. So yeah, it was really great for holding my attention. So those are the things that I've finished. What do I have on the go? Quite a few things. So my ebook right now is another Aussie April book, and that's White Tears, Brown Scars by Ruby Hamad. And this is a sort of essays about what it's like to be a brown or black woman, and how white women use particular social cues and privileges to keep themselves above brown and black women in society. So those essays are really, really interesting. They're very of the moment, very much in the modern times, but she references a lot of historical, both anti-racist and feminist texts, one of which was Bell Hooks' Ain't I a Woman? So I also went and grabbed Ain't I a Woman by Bell Hooks on audio to listen to while I was reading these. So I've gotten ahead now in Ain't I a Woman, and I only have like 20% of the audio left to go. And that collection of essays about how black women have been sort of left out of the feminist movement, and how black women have to endure both anti-feminist and anti-racist. Have to endure both sexist and racist oppressions, and how that has impacted how black women are in the world in terms of employment, social issues, families, marriage, all that stuff. And very, very interesting. And that is more of a classic feminist anti-racist text. So it's really interesting to read those two things together and compare sort of, something that was written in the 1970s as opposed to something that was written in the current day. So that is what is ebook and audiobook. And then physically, I am still working on Stephen King's short story collection, If It Bleeds. I haven't made any further progress since my last vlog, but that's on the go. And I am continuing on in my biography of President McKinley, Architect of the American Century, by Robert W. Mary. I have about 100 pages left to go in this biography, and I am really pushing to try to finish this by the end of the month. So I will be concentrating on that in the upcoming week. I have picked back up in Diversity of Life by Edward O. Wilson, and this is a science nonfiction collection of his writings all about biodiversity and the natural world, which is a reread for me. I first read it over 30 years ago. And then for the BookTube prize, I am currently reading All the Frequent Troubles of Our Days, the true story of the American woman at the heart of the German resistance to Hitler by Rebecca Donner. History nonfiction for the BookTube prize. And then when I get to the, a place where I feel comfortable with all of those, I will be picking up Birds by the Shore by Jennifer Ackerman. This is my pick for the Book Naturalist Book Club read for the month of April. We are doing an author spotlight on Jennifer Ackerman, who also wrote The Genius of Birds, which I had previously read. So I grabbed this one by her to read this time around. And I'm really excited to get started with this. It has lots of lovely pen and ink illustrations in it. And I really enjoy Jennifer Ackerman's writing style in The Genius of Birds, so I am fairly confident that I'm going to very much enjoy her writing in this book, which is about her experience with the shores in the state of Delaware and the types of wildlife and, natural features that she has observed in that particular area of Delaware, which is near the town called Lewes, which I've never heard of. So yeah, excited. Anything about the coast and birds, I am here for. So that is what I have recently read and what I am currently reading. I hope that you are all doing well and finding some great books to read. I will talk to you later.